I'm Abaquetone Borique, and this is Puerto Rican Historical Facts, the 1937 Ponce Massacre. Welcome to part 4 of this series. Let's review the last 3 episodes so we may then dive into the text that pertains to this video. Part 1. The 1948 Gag Law, where human rights were violated and nationalists were persecuted. The persecution caused thousands upon thousands to be unable to sustain further families and catapulted mass migrations. Part 2. The 1930s to 1970s sterilization without consent, where 1/3 of the Puerto Rican women were sterilized without their consent, and is one of the biggest acts of genocide of the modern era. Part 3. The 1931 injecting Puerto Ricans with cancer. These are some of the biggest acts of racism, where Puerto Rican nationalists such as Pedro Albizu Campos were inflicted through life-ending sickness so they could be silenced. Every time a Puerto Rican in the United States raised their flag, especially during these time frames, was an expression of freedom and a message of defiance and resilience against tyranny. Part 4. The 1937 Ponce Massacre. The 1937 Ponce Massacre. March 21, 1937. January of 1934, Pedro Albizu Campos had organized an agricultural strike for workers to make 0.12 cents an hour instead of 0.6 cents. The strike paralyzed the entire sugar industry in the island for a month. This made profits decrease, and the presidency of FDR wanted revenge. The Nationalist Party had permits to peacefully march on the Palm Sunday of March 21, 1937. The insular police killed 17 men, a woman, and a 7-year-old girl. They wounded over 200 civilians and then tried to follow them to the hospital to make them not say a word in attempt to whitewash the event. Bolivar Marquez Telechea wrote with his own blood before dying, "Long live the Republic. Down with the murderers." At Freedom for Puerto Rico. It is true that much of their descendants don't remember who they are, and many may have drifted against the feelings of their ancestors who were fighting a battle against entities that are said to eliminate Puerto Ricans. This is a centenary plus war against the Puerto Ricans that nobody talks about, and many don't understand how even those who consider themselves, identify with, and subjugate to an empire wouldn't even be safe themselves, nor their children's children. The evidence points to most of the nationalist descendants were the victims of these killings. So who are the many that still remember if most of them died? In the end, Boricuas are perhaps subconsciously unable to identify because that's how our culture has made us to be, to turn against ourselves, and snitching on what would they call rebels even. And the spirit of persecution still hovers and lingers at the necks and at the most inner notions of the aggressively marginalized Puerto Rican population. They call themselves rebels because we call them invaders.